Hey everyone! Thank you so much for tuning in to today's 7 Minute Social. I am so excited because this social will be part of a two-part series, and our topic is love. So I am honored because I've had some of the most influential people in my life come together and have this discussion on love. And so part one of this two-part series will be on love and loving well. So let's get right into it. Thank you, Marisela and Spencer Detman, for joining us today. I have a few questions on our topic of love. So, what do you think about when you think about love?
Go ahead.
I say that I think about family, and not just the family that you were, born into, but your chosen family. Together we're a chosen family, and being pregnant and having our dog, that's our pack. So when I think of love, I think about us together as a unit.
Mm-hmm. I agree with her very much. I would
You
say.
better.
When I think about love, I think it's something that's like irreplaceable. It's consistent. It's ongoing. It doesn't really, it grows. I don't know. I just think of a lot of words kind of in general come to mind, like just being patient, being, respectful. All those things kind of go in just to like an overall, like, this is the one, thing, like I said, that is like almost like a connection of a multiple different things. So, yeah.
Those are really good answers. So what does it mean to you, if I were to say, what does it mean to love well?
I think that it means to love unconditionally and be vulnerable. There's nothing that he's ever gonna say or do that is gonna make me hate him so much that I'm not gonna love him. I'm always gonna love him. I think that when there's a big mistake made when people think that the grass is greener on the other side rather than watering their own grass. And marriage isn't easy, but there's nothing else in the world that is more fulfilling to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to love well is to just really just be vulnerable, just be open to the person and accept them how they are, period.
Yeah. Very well said again. Yeah, I think, to love well, I think it's just like this, like you can't like be like one faceted. You have to like constantly be doing multiple things at one time to make sure you're aware of the fact that you're in your own world, right? But that you're sharing it with somebody else. And so you have to be, like I said, like you have to be patient, you have to be respectful, you have to trust, you have to think from their perspective, you have to, encourage, you have to do all these things all at one time. And in order to be kind of like a selfless, moments with getting the other person taking care of you while you're taking care of them. And then it just naturally works, indirectly back to yourself. So, but like I said, it's where that combo kind of came in earlier. So
I like that selfless.
Yeah.
Selfless word is huge.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I completely agree. And I think that you two are a great example of what it means to love well here. Okay. Thank you so much, Jessica and Chewy, for joining me today. I am so excited to talk about the topic of love. So let's get into our questions. What do you think about when you think about love?
Nice. Well, first, thank you, Kim, for having us. Been good friends for a long time, so it's good to be here with everybody who's watching these really cool 7-minute socials. For us, love is, to me, when I think of love, I think of Jesus Christ. And, not to be on a soapbox or be self-righteous, but he's the ultimate example of love for us. And with what we learn and what we've experienced, there's 3 C's that come to mind. It's commitment, consistency, and clarity. And along that's what love is. I think there needs to be a commitment to each other, a commitment to an ideal, commitment to something that's not necessarily there. Consistency. right? Love, not necessarily, not only when you need something or not only when you feel, but it's that consistent commitment. And then clarity, knowing, being able to speak and being able to share.
Kim, again, thank you for the opportunity. And Chewy and I are really happy that you considered us. We celebrated 13 years of being together. So for the audience to know, it's this anniversary was a little different with the pandemic and how we were able to celebrate, but really we celebrate the love that we have. So when I think of love, I think of something that has to be seen by each other in a relationship, but it's invisible and it's not really measurable with like a metric. So to me, love is something that you have to be very intentional of showing, because it's not that it's hard to see, but it's something that isn't like, I can't put it in a little box to give to someone, to give to Chewy, I can give them something in the box that represents love, right? But it's so important to know how to show the love to the person that you're with. And people speak different love languages. So sometimes opposite ones. And it's important to be intentional about showing love in a way that the person you're with can see it.
Absolutely. Great answers. So what does it mean to love well?
I think to love well means to have something that is consistently clear. Again, going back to my answer. Loving well means that it can't be self-centered. It needs to be, there's a lot of humility in loving well. One of the best piece of relationship marriage advice actually that I've received is, you can be right and sleep on the couch, or you can get it right and sleep in your own bed. So there's a lot of humility. There's a lot of humility when you love well. There's being able to admit that you're wrong, and being able, but on the flip side, sticking to a point, sticking to a purpose to make sure, because sometimes loving well means that you consistently tell somebody that they may be in the wrong. Somebody dealing with addiction, somebody dealing with things that are actively hurting them. It does you no good to say, okay. So you need to have that balance, and you need to know when you're damaging somebody or when your voice is what's going to save them and what's ultimately going to help them seek help or change their course of action.
Well, when I hear the word loving well, good job, babe, by the way. When I hear loving well, the opposite comes to mind in my mind. It's just like, well, if the question is how to love well, then there's also like loving in a way that doesn't make things well, right? So I think about like there's physical wellness, and then like, and then when you don't take care of your physical wellness, then you're like end up in the hospital, right? Such pertinent information for where we find ourselves at. So I think loving well means monitoring. We look at on the scale to see our weight, or we check our oxygen level to see, or our temperature, if you have COVID. And it's like, well, how often do we check in on where we are and loving our partner and loving ourselves as well and loving our family? So it is something that we have to monitor. It's not like, once you say I do, then it's a happy ending like all the Disney movies, right? Something I saw was like, why do all the Disney movies end with the wedding? Because they don't want to show what happens after. And it's like, it's such a cynical way to look at it. But it does take intentionality, again, back to my first point of like, you need to check in with your partner once in a while and then just make sure that the love boat is afloat.
Absolutely. So good. Those discussions truly explain what it means to love and to love well. Marisela said, to love well is to accept people for who they are. Chewy said, Jesus is the ultimate example of love. Jessica said, loving well means monitoring. How often do we check in on loving ourselves and others? Spencer said, love is consistent. It grows. It's irreplaceable. It's patient and respectful. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 is known as the love chapter. And starting in verse 4, it says, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. love never fails. You were created in love and through love. You are the very essence of love. To love well is to be who you were created to be the way God designed you to love. The first and greatest commandment that God gives us is to love Him first, and then to love others. We were created to be accepting of one another, to grow with one another, and to never give up on one another. Well, family, I hope you have enjoyed this segment on love and loving well. Please join us on Thursday for part 2, in which we will be discussing loving well and healthy boundaries. Have a great day.